and I'm using Shine and Jam as I part to make sure the parts are nice and crispy. Now I'm going to be working with the bottom section first, and I'm just going to create 3 parts at the bottom. I have 4 braids in the next section, and notice how the sections are in windows. It should look like how bricks are laid. The 3rd row has a slight curve, and this is when I start pulling hair from the top section to make sure the row goes all the way around the head. Now this row has 7 sections, and notice how the parts are still in windows. The next row also goes all the way around the head, and there's 8 sections in this one. I made 3 parts from the rest of the hair from the bottom section, and there's a row of 4 on top of that. I split the remainder of the hair in half, and I'm going to do the same thing with both halves. So I have a row of 2, a row of 3, and then the rest creates a row of 4. I duplicated that on the other half, and we're all done. This is how I like to do my medium-sized protective styles.
Y'all know I'ma always start with a bust down middle part. And if she don't walk around in front of you to make sure that part is in the center, baby, don't book with her.
But I already did.
Well, you done messed up, and I know her deposit is non-refundable. Now let's get into this tutorial. Now you want to start working on one side of the head. You want to start out by parting behind the ear to the center. Then you want to go from the center to the ear. Sounds complicated, but you should end up with something like this. Next step is the back. Be careful when cutting those rubber bands off. Don't cut your client's hair. And I use rubber bands for placeholders because it's so much easier for me than taking out play. Then you want to go ahead and start parting out the back. Normally I do 4 rows, but for her I'm going to do 3. Her hair is a lot finer in the back, so this row would need to be a little bit bigger. But as you can see, it's still a small part. So don't come for me in the comments talking about this ain't small, this is medium, because it's definitely giving small. Okay, so you want to do this all the way up the head till you get to your next rubber band section. And yes, that's her son in the background because we had to do what we had to do. I am applying product to this section because this will be the first section I'll be working with. And I need those parts to be clean, baby. You should end up with something like this. Now let's move on to the front. Now my smalls are 6 rows on each side, which is 12 rows across the forehead. I definitely put emphasis on mine because y'all be coming for me in the comments. And everybody's size chart is different. To each his own, but this is my way. Hate it or love it. Now I want y'all to remember the tip that I gave in my last video. Do not curve that comb and do not curve that part. Bring it straight back. No product is needed for this section. You'll come back and clean it up later. If you follow directions, you'll end up with something like this. And remember, what we do to one side, we must do to the other. I'll meet y'all back here later with the hair out.
Section out 3 equal parts. Then you're going to start off from ear to ear. You're going to start off from ear to ear. Section out 3 equal parts. Then you're going to start off from ear to ear in the crown area with a middle part. Those are going to have 4 rows. Then you're going to section off 5 equal parts in the front area. It should be 5 on one side and 5 on the other side. This is how you should pre-part.
Pre-parting makes braiding so much easier.
If you like clean brick layered parts, this is the tutorial for you. So I start off with 2 sections at the front and then 2 sections in the back. To get the 2 sections in the back, I go from ear to ear, and then I split that into 2 for my medium parts. Once I split it into 2, I make sure that both of them are as equal as possible, and then I move back to the front now that I know the size that I'm working with. So on each section in the front, I split it into 5 parts, 5 sections, whatever you want to call it, and I make sure they are as even as possible. So I'm starting from the top and coming down to the bottom, and if I need to adjust the size, I go from the bottom to the top. I got this tip from my braider and it's a game changer. Then for the big section in the back, I like to split it down the middle and go from one part on the left to the next part on the right, or vice versa. Just making sure that they are in line so that the parts are as even as possible. I repeat this throughout the entire section in the back, and then I get to start on my brick layers. So for my medium size, I'm having 4 braids, starting with a part in the middle and then dividing each section into 2. For the next row, the part will be in line with the braid below in the middle. If by chance you do this and the sizes of each square are a bit off, you can shift it slightly, just making sure that it's as even as possible. This allows me to get clean brick layered parts each and every time.